Welcome to El.Judge TV, a place and space where you can watch El.Judge on TV and others, of course. Today's subject is going to be Simeon Toko. This is a character who's been throughout history, and we're going to do a little deep dive into him. Let's go.
Angels fought against soldiers in Africa. The supernatural man that emerged from the Congo named Simeon Toko summoned 1,000 angels to help defeat oppressive soldiers. On January 4th, 1959, several witnesses attest to seeing multiple cherubim and seraphim angels holding off the Belgian army. Citizens of Leopoldville saw an army of about 1,000 angels, which they described as being non-terrestrials. They explained that these angelic creatures had very muscular bodies. These human-looking beings, with supernatural powers, were demonstrating an extraordinary force. For example, a witness saw one of them on the road sweeping a 5-ton truck with one hand. Belgian soldiers opened fire on these angels, but to no effect. The colonial army was in a panic and disorder. The angels disappeared as suddenly as they had appeared. According to the African natives that day, Simeon Toko had unleashed his army. A man named Simeon Toko was being compared to Jesus Christ in the 60s because of his godlike abilities to regenerate after being unalived. He could also appear to people in an apparitional state, which means he'd appear to them in his spiritual body. And he stopped a plane in midair just by ordering it to stop. But anyways, this man is being compared to Jesus, and although that comparison is
Okay, that's not the original story about the planes stopping in midair, but it was something like that, because we're going to get into this. And let me say something else. There was more than one. There was more than one.
Respectful in many people's eyes, he literally is immortal. And although many may be quick to call him the Antichrist, he was a devoted Christian. Let's cover the story of Simeon Toko in more depth. Simeon Toko was born on February 24th, 1918 in a northern village in Angola. In 1949, Simeon Toko asked in his public prayer that the Holy Spirit manifest in Africa to put an end to the abuses of the colonial powers. Toko became a dedicated member of the Baptist Church in Atanga. Toko was sent to slavery in an agricultural field in Kakanda in southern Angola, and a hit was placed on him when word spread of this Messiah-like African man. In 1994, Pastor Adelino Kanhandy, who was a cook at the Kakanda agricultural compound, saw what happened to Toko and couldn't believe his eyes. When Kanhandy was cooking, Toko said, "Kanhandy, come here." Toko told him to stand outside and be watchful because Simeon Toko was aware of what was about to happen to himself. Toko looked at Kanhandy and said, "Once again the Son of Man will be tested." One of the Portuguese foremen told Toko to go under the tractor because weeds were clogging it, and when he did, the man turned it on unaliving Toko. Kanhandy stood frozen in fear, not believing what he just witnessed. Then out of nowhere, Toko regenerated before Kanhandy's eyes, leaving him completely shocked and making the Portuguese man run away in terror. But Simeon Toko was a black African man born in 1918, and he had superhuman abilities similar to Jesus Christ. He was healing people, and he even summoned cherubim and seraphim angels to help defeat the Belgian army. As crazy as this may sound, this is a true story. We'll get into the other unbelievable superhuman things he did in a bit. The elite powers do not want the world knowing.
See, now, some people may ask, how could someone be completely destroyed and shredded up into pieces and regenerate? Some beings, including you, once you become filled with the Spirit dominates the doggone physical. The Spirit has an echo of itself. It has its own energy signature. Your spirit has your physical is the manifestation of your energy signature. When you are fully activated and you form a relationship with your spirit, you will be able to regenerate the physical at any time. This is who you truly are.
About this man because he was the first of many more Messiah-like figures to emerge. In the 1960s, Simeon Toko said more people like him would come and that the elites wouldn't be able to stop us. It is believed Simeon Toko was the first of the 144,000 described in the Bible. He was healing people and performing supernatural miracles. Some of the superhuman qualities Simeon Toko had was regenerating after attempts on his life, even if he was completely eradicated. One time doctors heard of the rumors of his mystical abilities of being immortal, and they removed his heart surgically to see if it was true. He woke up from the operating table saying, "Why are you persecuting me like this? Give me my heart back." Leaving the doctors completely shocked, Simeon Toko was reaching people with his message, and the cabal attempted to silence him for lack of better word.
All right, now they have him showing up, lifted up his shirt showing a scar. Most people do not enter into the chest cavity to remove a heart from the side. That's probably a scar that remained from something else. However, the story of them removing his heart, I was told that they gave him some sort of potion that knocked him out, and then they got their hands on him. But even after they removed his heart, it didn't work.
Once they found out he had Jesus-like abilities, but no attempts on his life succeeded, and he just kept coming back. A man who couldn't be unalived. This is a true story that has several first-hand accounts and physical evidence that this man was immortal as well. There was a plan to unalive this immortal man named Simeon Toko in the ocean. The reason there were so many attempts on Toko's life is because the elites didn't want him here because he was a messiah-like figure performing miracles and began gaining too much power in their eyes. He was a prophet of God. In the plane with Simeon Toko sat a Catholic priest and members of Salazar's secret police known as PIDEDGS, including the pilot and co-pilot. Their mission was to fly out over the Atlantic Ocean and after about an hour's distance, push Simeon Toko into the deep sea. The moment the PIDE agents rose to subdue him and carry out their plan, Simeon Toko stood up and ordered the plane to stop. The aircraft stopped in midair. It stood still, not advancing an inch, nor rose or fell backward. The crew was stricken by panic. The priest could hardly breathe and hoarsely huffed out desperate prayers. Simeon lifted his eyes and hands towards the heaven, and after a short prayer, he ordered the plane to move again. At once the plane started moving. This is the African man who was being called the Black Jesus because of the superhuman abilities he had. Let's speak about the superhuman things Simeon Toko did. One time, Simeon Toko was on a plane and he ordered the plane to stop in midair, and it did just that. It didn't fall, it didn't go forward or backwards, it was just suspended in the air. The reason he did this was because he was set up by the cabal and they had sinister plans for Toko. So once he realized the plot, he said, "I won't go alone," and then he stopped the plane midair. Toko also had the ability to regenerate. Even if an attempt on his life was successful, he would still miraculously come back. A man admitted to taking Toko out professionally and seeing Toko perfectly fine the next day. The reason there were so many attempts on Toko is because the elites viewed him as a Christ-like figure, which is a direct threat to the Luciferian powers controlling the world. The Bible says that Satan is the god of this world, and also that during the battle of Armageddon, God will go against the powers of this world alongside his children. Where is Simeon Toko now?
See, now the character that we know as Jesus, he was hated by the elites as well, due to the fact that the elites were trying to put themselves in the position of being like superstars. They wanted to be gods themselves. They wanted the people to look upon them, the elite and those who were the top businessmen and the wealthy at that time. And Jesus was like, no, there's only one who we shall honor, and there's only one that we shall call master, because many of them wanted to be called master. Jesus was like, may you call no man master, or let no man be your master. He was against that. And Simeon Toko, he was the same way. He was like, man, forget the establishment. Let's do what's right for the people.
The African man of God was immortal and couldn't be taken out by the cabal. There was a man that admitted to seeing Toko pass away with his own eyes and then seeing Toko perfectly fine the next day. The elites didn't want him here, so there was multiple attempts on Toko. The cabal set Simeon Toko up, saying they want him to come to the United Nations to spread his message, but instead something terrible happened that I cannot say on TikTok. I'll explain in the comment section what happened to Toko so this video doesn't get taken down. After this tragic attempt on Toko, he regenerated in their office room, saying, "If you don't want me to be here so bad, I can't fulfill my purpose. But there will be more people like me and you will not be able to stop us." Simeon Toko passed due to him not being able to fulfill his purpose here. If we look in the Bible, it says that the 144,000 will have supernatural protection. For God's seal will spare the 144,000 from judgment and being taken out. Does this explain why Simeon Toko couldn't be harmed? As God's judgment rains down, he will grant special protection to the witnesses. In Revelation chapter 7 verse 3, one of his angels gives this instruction to 4 others. Do not harm the earth, the sea, or the trees till we have sealed the servants of our God on their foreheads. Although the witness's preaching will rouse the anger of many, the Bible says no one will be able to touch the 144,000 because Almighty God will grant them supernatural protection. They will neither endure God's judgment nor suffer harm from the powers of evil. Revelation chapter 7 verses 2 to 3 of our God on their foreheads. That leaves the question.
Are you looking to establish?
Of course, this is YouTube, and we have to deal with what you would call commercials. But peep game, though. The 144,000 is a vibration that certain people are going to pick up on to activate them. Some people are walking with the frequency of 144,000. What does that mean? That means that you have 144,000 who each one of them are able to activate 144,000 as well. Because what you're dealing with activating spirits. And these activating spirits, man, they do as we just said. They activate. This is why during the time when we were going through this thing called Corona, they knew that the crowning, Corona, they knew that the crowning of the divine Christ people were coming into effect. And they said we must keep them 6 feet away from one another because that energy is going to affect each one of them. They have been fighting this divine spirit for quite some time. Now, there was more, as I said, there was more than one. There was more than one. Now, let's get through this little station break right here, and let's see if we can hurry up and get through this commercial.
Your business using an address other than your home? Well, at iPostal One, we can help with that.
Yeah, this is just like watching TV at home, you know what I'm saying? So we have to go through that, man. Hey, we are one. Oh, but I'm not done with you yet. Now let's hear what the character known as El.Judge, let's get his 2 cents in on this. And look, and I'm sorry if this video is gonna take a minute, but I mean this is something that we got to talk about. And at the end, I got a surprise for you. I got some homework for you to do, really. You know what I'm saying? Not homework, but it's something that you're gonna enjoy, you know what I'm saying? Now let's get into this right here. The imperial priesthood. Yes, still in effect. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get it going. Thank you guys for the thumbs up, man. And I was just experimenting because I didn't even put a title on that video or any hashtags, and it did pretty good, especially for me, to get almost 1,000 views. That's good for me. And so we're going to talk about this story, man. Now, I first got wind of this story by Dr. Delbert Blair way back in the 90s. And when I first heard the story, I was like, I just really didn't think much of it. But then time went by and I became a truck driver. And I used to run late at night. And when I used to run those loads, man, I would get tired. So what I used to listen to was Coast to Coast. So you listen to the Coast to Coast Live with Art Bell. Yeah, this was before George Norrie. Yeah. George Norrie used to come on as a special guest to give Art Bell a break, or sometimes they would be on there together. But man, somebody came on that show and they talked about Simeon Toko. And this is what I remember. This is the original story that I was given. They said that he was born in a village, either it was in the Congo or it was in Angola. I don't know. But they said that he was born, and when he was born, a high priest felt his presence. And he came to the village and went straight to the house where he was born because he just wanted to see the child. Now, I think they said he left the mother something, but he didn't really tell her anything. I know, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to add to the story because it would be nice if he said, oh, and he said this, you have a precious baby and this child is special, but I don't remember that. Gotta be honest. I remember the part where they said that he came to visit the child and he went directly to the home where the child was born. Now, Simeon Toko, he grew up to have a regular life. And then as he got a little older, started going into adulthood, he ventured out on his own. Now, when he ventured out on his own, he was messing with women, drinking, he was having fun, he was living a regular life like a young man would entering adulthood. He came. That's very important. There's a lot of people out here who are of the frequency. How do I say this? They're born with an abundance of chi, and that abundance of chi gives them a connection to the divine intelligence. And there is a many of people walking around in the world just like this. This is why it's important for them to keep you corrupt, because let's refer to the 144,000 or the original 144,000, which there are many of. They are the golden children. Remember in the movie The Golden Child, they were trying to corrupt the golden child so that the golden child could be weakened, so they would make it easier for them to bring damage or to bring harm onto the golden child. This is who you are. Especially if you're watching this video and you're pulled to this, that's exactly who you are. The corruption and the foods that we eat and the impurities that we are breathing through the air, it affects us. But it's going to come a time in which we're going to get immune to all of these things, and we're going to move past that, and we're just going to manifest who we truly are. It's no getting around it. Back, and when he came back, he went to the Congos. This is, I remember this part here. He went to the Congos to live with his family, and things weren't going so good. So he began to work in the Congos, work in the mines like everyone else, because he had to feed his family. Now, through the process of time, there was a church that he would go to, and the church was like, it was just like a regular Baptist-like church, but it was a Baptist-like church, but it was a spiritual church at the same time. And then one day he went to the church, man, and the people, I guess they took a certain liking to him, or they saw some kind of light in him. So one day they decided to gather around him and to pray over him. They called this the prayer of activation. We got it. The imperial priesthood, we have the prayer. All right. But here, and it was within the prayer, it said something like, look, we have the prayer. The imperial priesthood, we have the prayer, and I modified it to make it fit in for today. And the people of the imperial priesthood, the brothers and sisters, we did the ritual stating the prayer. The world changed real fast. A lot of the things that's going on right now in the world today, the brothers and sisters behind the scenes who are of the imperial priesthood, we did a couple of those doggone rituals. Man, super powerful. And the reason why I didn't show it on YouTube is because I don't know how to post the image of the prayers on YouTube, but maybe I'll figure it out. Let's continue. It says something like, Lord, if you feel free, or if you feel able, that I am worthy of your grace, and if you feel that I am deserving of it. And it was something like that there. It was a very humble prayer that they prayed over him. And then it said that the congregation, they began to speak and started speaking in tongues, and then some of them started seeing visions. And then after that, he was a changed man. Now, after that, he was able to prophesy, he was able to heal people, and he was able to see into people and know exactly what their ailments was. He was powerful. He became powerful like that because of this prayer that they did over him. So they started paying attention to him, because they're like, you know what? He's getting in the way. And he's talking to them, he's preaching to these doggone people, and they're starting to listen to him, because he began to start this thing called a church called Tukuism. So it's like, you know what? Well, he's not invited. I don't know if they said that. But they took him and they locked him up, put some trumped up charges, and they threw him in prison. Now, when they threw him in prison, they had plans on wiping this dude out, because he was getting in the way of the money. So the first time they tried to take this dude out, I can't remember fully. I don't know if they sent some guys in there to attack him first, but this is what I fully remember. They said that they had him in one of those machines with the tractor, with the blades on it in the back that cut like this here. They said that thing would get tangled up every now and then. They would have to have somebody go up under there and clean it up. So they was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to send him up under there. And like, Tuku, get over there and clean those weeds off of the blades. So when he went to go clean the weeds off of the blades, the prison guard was like, so then the guy started it up and chopped his body up into pieces. Man, this is some unbelievable sounding stuff. They said it kicked his body remains back into the weeds. They said this guy reformed and came back. If I'm not mistaken, the guy who started that thing back up, he quit. Not only did he quit, he joined the Church of Tukuism.
Yes. Yes.
Now here's the other part of the story. They said they sedated him while he was in prison. They knocked him out, put something in him, put him to sleep. They grabbed him.
Let's stop for a second. Because they mentioned others. And I mentioned others too. There was one by the name, it was another one who went by the name of Simon as well. He was born in 1921, I believe. His name was Simon Kimbutu, or Simon Kim something. They locked him up and they gave him life. It was another one by the name of William Harris. He had tens of thousands of people following him. He was known to do miracles and to do prayers, and they talked him into, he just disappeared out of the way. Now, Simeon Toko, some of his followers, the ones who did that prayer that night, they also received powers as well. That's why I said activation prayers. This was activating spirits, which would activate those around them. They received it too. They saw what happened to Simeon, so they knew to keep things quiet. But they went off to different parts of Africa and they went and formed their own thing. Now, let me tell you something else. When it comes to Simeon Toko, this was right around 1968 when they were going through these situations, a little after. Now, peep game. In 1968, we had J. Edgar Hoover here in the Americas. And he said that his job was to stop the rise of a black messiah. Someone that could speak volume into the people and bring these, he referred to them as militants. He said, and bring these militant activists into power, to bring them together. And at the time, we thought he was just talking about Stokely Carmichael, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and Elijah Muhammad. Those are the stories that was given. But also they were talking about the doggone people and that spirit. During 1968 and the early 70s, the government was complaining about the abundance of these dark-skinned children being born. And now, why would they have a problem with dark-skinned kids being born? I don't know. Could it have something to do with the melanin? I don't know. But this is what they were going through at the times.
Cut his heart out of his body. They thought they had him. They said that he came through. He woke up and said, "What are you doing? What did you do with my heart?" He said, "Place my heart right back in my body. What are you doing?" That's why you see the picture of him holding his shirt up like this here, showing that scar. They took his heart off. Now here's the other part of the story. They said, "You know what? We're going to take you over there to London. Some people want to talk to you." So while they were going over the ocean, they grabbed him and they decided to throw him out of the airplane. They said when they grabbed him and they were trying to throw him out of the airplane kind of like stopped working and started going straight down just like this here. Like if I go down, everybody else is going down with me. So they had to cut him loose. Now, the parts of the story where they say they cut his body up and placed it inside of these some kind of containers, you know what I'm saying, that could hold nuclear waste. And
Nuclear
they
steel
said that they
drums.
spread that out to different parts around the world, and he still came together. I didn't originally hear that. That part of the story came out later, so I don't know what to think about that. But the part of the story where they said that he said, obviously, it's a given that you don't want me here, so I'll back off. But he said, but in the future, there will be more of me to come, and there will be nothing you can do about it. But that's not the end of the story. I forgot the major part of the story. Forgive me. When they had a war with the soldiers within the Congo,
The Belgians.
they said that he called upon some angelic-like forces and beings. And they said that the angelic forces, they said they made the guns of the soldiers, the guns would jam up, they wouldn't work. They said that these big, tall beings, I was just talking about those giant angels.
I gotta find that video.
They said that these big, tall beings were coming through and they were just sweeping the doggone roads like this here, knocking over the tanks and the trucks. And then if I'm not mistaken, they said these little ghostly characters came out and they wore them soldiers out.
Those little ghostly characters, that's the original story that I heard. And they said these things they moved swift like doggone, like lightning, like black lightning. Did we not hear the same story about the Haitian wars? And when I think they were fighting the French, and someone called upon these spirits, and these little doggone little black spirits came up and started fighting for them and whooped the French butt. Let's continue.
I can't believe I forgot that part of the story. I'm glad I remembered. But the reason why I'm telling you this here is because he lived his life as a regular person at first. He didn't know that he had these supernatural abilities. And then the people of the church who prayed around him and said that prayer, they activated him and he became a supernatural being. Those people who he said that were going to come back as a mini, that's you. Make no mistake. And you better believe this. I have that prayer. I modified it a little bit to fit you and I. If you want to see that prayer, let me know. I'll post that bad boy up. And then we can do it one day. We can all get together and we'll read the doggone thing at the same time, at the same date. How about that? But anyway, man, I hope you enjoyed this here. I'm just giving you the story that I was given. This is your man, El.Judge, peace and blessings. And then again, if you want to do something with that prayer, because I'll show you the original, then I'll show you what I did with it.
Okay. Now, I'm not done with you yet.
Why pay over $2,000 to create an ebook?
Man, these doggone commercials, man. But I'm not done with you yet. In 1968 and the 60s, those were some strange times. And they were dealing with these activated spiritual beings who were coming, and some of the beings that were coming, they may not have had, they did not show supernatural abilities in a sense. Some of them were able to obtain, to draw the attentions of tens of thousands of people at a time. And it was making it real difficult for them to do this thing of the ruling of the world, because that's what this thing is about. It's about the doggone controlling the world. And they was messing it up. And they are still going to war with the people about this. Now, if you like these videos, man, please let me know. Tell me to continue. Please hit like. Make sure that you leave a comment. I know these videos take a little longer than what we normally do, but you know, if you're watching this on television, hey, this is the El.Judge TV show, and we're gonna make it do what we gonna make it do what it do, baby. You know what I'm saying? Now, I got a special gift for you. I got a gift for you. Oh, there go my boy Ben.
Let's go back. Let's go back. I got a gift for you. Remember, this is 1968, right around that time when it was popping off, right? Now, here's the question. In 1968, what's the name? An Italian director. He made a movie about beings in Africa, a guy who was in Africa, and he activated and he became a Christ-like character. And he talked about the government and the army going after this guy. This movie came out in 1968. The name of the movie is Black Jesus by some guy that goes by the name of Sendutu Ale Sadisoras, something like that, Sadistor, or something like that, some kind of strange foreign name. You can find this movie. They had the full movie on YouTube. This is something that I'm going to watch this weekend. Black Jesus. Find this movie and watch this, because I'm going to watch it this weekend, or I may watch it this evening, and we may talk about this here. My sisters, all of my sisters are conscious beings. They have their ways, but they all were conscious. This is 1968. They took me to go see this movie back in like 1971. I think that's when it got over here to the Americas. I remember this movie for years. As a matter of fact, when I was thinking about Simeon Toko today, I thought about this movie, and I said, I wonder if that movie was linked to him. And the way how this movie, with the dates that it came out, you know, right around in 1968, I'm telling you this. And I think it was more than one in this movie, but toward the end of the movie, the main character, he was crucified in a sense, in a different type of way. And he came back. Again, make sure you hit like. Make sure you leave a comment. Make sure you subscribe. Let me know if you want more videos like this here, because when you're watching TV sometimes, you don't want to just go through something real quick. Now, every now and then, yeah, I'm going to do a couple of YouTube shorts and stuff, but we're going to get into the nitty gritty, and I'm going to pull up some of my old videos, and we're going to break them down. You and I. And one more thing. Simeon Toko, all this was going on in 1968. Simeon Toko's birthday was February the 24th. I was born February the 23rd, 1965. Peace.